Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are a newcomer, you are very welcome here. Kindly subscribe to this channel for an update on how what we eat, how it really affects our life or our cells in the body. So in my previous videos, I have talked about diabetes and cholesterol, but there were complaints that the audio was not very clear, so I had to recreate those videos. So this video is actually a recap of those two videos which I have done, and I'll put a link above here. You can kindly watch it in case you want to. So now let's first talk about diabetes. Last year 2024, WHO released a global monitoring or framework on diabetes prevention and control, and they've stated that diabetes is rampant. Prevalence in African region alone in terms of mortality is about 33% over the past decade. So you can see this is really alarming, and Ghana is part. This is due to so many reasons, from socioeconomic problems to lifestyle adoption of Western lifestyle like fast foods, junk foods, and so on. So now, let's talk about diabetes. What is diabetes? Diabetes, we have type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is called juvenile diabetes or insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus. That means that it occurs mainly when you are a child, or its prevalence among children. And it is insulin dependent, meaning you can't do away without insulin. So people with type 1 diabetes need to be taking insulin shots every day or every week or every month to survive. And type 2 happens mainly in adults, and this one is really rampant than the type 1, especially in African region. In Ghana alone, about 2.5 or 2.4 and above people are living with type 2 diabetes. And this prevalence is not the actual representative of the disease in Ghana, because a lot of people are undiagnosed. They don't know that they are having type 2 diabetes. They accidentally get diagnosed when they have complications and they go to the hospital, and then they check their blood pressure and glucose level before they are diagnosed. So a lot of these things are not documented. A lot of these diseases are not documented because people don't have access to good health facilities and a whole lot. So now type 2 occurs when you have insulin resistance. So that means you have your beta cells in your pancreas producing insulin, the hormone that is responsible for the use of glucose, or let's say sugar, in your blood. It's called insulin. You have a lot in your system, but your cells are resistant to it, so you can't use up the sugar or the glucose in your blood, or you are producing less than normal because you have more in your system already. This type 2 diabetes can actually be prevented, and it is caused mainly by lifestyle changes, especially bad lifestyle, eating of junk foods, processed food, ultra-processed foods, soda, and not eating good balanced diet, and living a sedentary life. You are not exercising. So type 2 diabetes, the good thing about it is it can be prevented. If you stop living this sedentary lifestyle and eating healthy, you can prevent type 2 diabetes. Now, let's talk about the second video where I talk about how sugar contributes to high levels of cholesterol in your blood. People don't actually know that cholesterol can be produced from carbohydrates as well and proteins. So in this video, I'm making you aware that cholesterol is not only made from fats or oils. Cholesterol can also be made from carbohydrates. So meaning that we get cholesterol from carbohydrates, from lipids or fats or oil and proteins. And in a healthy human body, like let's say 70 kilogram healthy body, produces about 1000 milligrams or 1 gram of cholesterol by the liver in a day. So that means that the amount of cholesterol you consume also affects the number or the quantity that your liver produces. So let's say you've eaten 2 eggs, let's say, or 3 eggs, and you get like 300 milligrams of cholesterol. Your liver will also regulate the production of cholesterol based on the quantity you've eaten. So now, what is cholesterol? So cholesterol is a type of lipid or fat, let's say fats. It's like a steroid. It's a steroid. So now, for those of you who know biochemistry, the structure of cholesterol has 6 member rings, 3 of them, and 1 5-member ring. What makes cholesterol bad or good? Let's talk about good cholesterol first. Good cholesterol comes with a higher proportion of protein attached to it. It is called HDL, or high density lipoprotein. When we talk of lipoprotein, it's a conjugate or joining 2 molecules together, one from lipid and one from protein. So high density lipoprotein means that we have a higher proportion of protein attached to cholesterol, which is a lipid. In that case, if you have higher proportion of protein attached to your cholesterol, it's a good one because it helps in cleaning bad cholesterol in your system. Let's say you consume egg. In an egg, you don't only raise your cholesterol level, but you raise your good cholesterol level because proportion of protein attached to cholesterol is high. Now, let's talk about bad cholesterol. It is bad because you have less proportion of protein attached to your cholesterol in your blood. So we call it low density lipoprotein. This is bad because it cannot be transported in your blood. So it clogs your arteries, blocking your blood from flowing, hereby preventing your cells to get the nutrient that you want. That is why bad cholesterol causes cardiovascular disease, hypertension, amputation, because it prevents your cells from getting nutrients, and those cells, if they don't have energy or nutrients, they are going to die eventually. So your nerve cells could die. That can result in amputation and a whole lot. So that is why in diabetes you have people having blindness and amputation, because these things happens and then those cells don't, or those nerves don't get the nutrients they want to survive. Now, how does sugar or glucose or carbohydrates, if I'm talking of sugar, I'm talking about, let's say, glucose molecule in your blood, or carbohydrate that you've consumed and is digested to the single molecule called glucose in your blood. So now, how does sugar regulate the production of bad cholesterol in your blood? You know, we have an intermediate. If I say intermediate, I mean during metabolism, your body breaks down food components from all these major food molecules like carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. And that intermediate is shared among these 3 pathways. So let's talk about this intermediate called acetyl-CoA. So acetyl-CoA increases when you consume a lot of carbohydrates or sugar. So this acetyl-CoA is a precursor for another intermediate called mevalonate. And the enzyme that facilitates this process from mevalonate to cholesterol is called HMG-CoA reductase, or beta-hydroxy beta-methylglutarate coenzyme A reductase. So whenever you have your blood sugar levels being up, your insulin level is also up, because you need insulin to pump your glucose or your sugar into your cells for the cells to use it for energy. So when insulin levels are high, insulin tends to regulate this enzyme by activating it. Hence, if you activate this enzyme, you are going to be producing more cholesterol. In times when you have less insulin, you tend to produce glucagon, the hormone that regulates the release of glycogen, which is a storage form of glucose. When you don't have a lot of sugar lying in your blood and your insulin levels are low, these hormones deactivate this enzyme. Hence, you don't produce a lot of cholesterol in your system. So this is how these hormones do work. So when you have a lot of sugar in your blood, your insulin levels are high. So you tend to regulate and activate this enzyme that produces cholesterol in your blood, leading to bad cholesterol levels in your blood. Cholesterol actually is not that bad because it's an essential hormone. It's an essential precursor of so many hormones like sex hormones, progesterone, or estrogen and androgen, production of vitamin D, bile salts. Cholesterol is a precursor of all these vital biomolecules. So that is why the body sees it as prudent for it to be even producing it naturally or on its own, whether you consume or not. So now, going forward, I'll be talking about more of these pathways and how when we eat a lot of eggs or a lot of protein, when we eat a lot of fat and oil, what happens, where it ends, how we can balance our diet in order to prevent or reverse diabetes, how we can prevent hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and all these non-communicable diseases or chronic disease as stated in the guidelines. So kindly subscribe to this channel if you have not, and share these videos to people, and I appreciate every one of you. Thank you. Electric pulses in the night.